In a quiet mountain town of Keddie, California, nestled deep within the Sierra Nevada, time once stood still. It was a place where families came to get away, to breathe, and to start over. But on the night of April 11th, 1981, Cabin 28 became the scene of one of the most brutal and mysterious crimes in California's history. A quadruple homicide so savage and so strange that more than 4 decades later, it still haunts those who remember it. This is the story of the Keddie Murders. Hello, this is Sean. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about the Keddie Murders. I am getting back into the swing of things with true crime. So I'm figuring out how to edit faster and do it quicker so I can hopefully get it out more productively for you. I also do gaming and movie reactions. So if any of that stuff is interesting, please check it out. If you're not subscribed, please do so. Please like and share my video. That helps with the demographics. It helps with getting it out there for the people. I also respond to all comments, whether it's negative or positive. So please, if there's something you'd like to see, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. That all being said, let's begin with our story. 2 years before the murders, in July of 1979, Glenna Susan, or Sue, Sharp packed up her 5 kids and left her home in Connecticut. She was escaping an abusive marriage with James Sharp, hoping to rebuild her life. The family moved west to Northern California, where Sue's brother Don lived. She first rented a small trailer at the Claremont Trailer Village in Quincy before relocating to Keddie, a small former resort town that had fallen onto hard times. Cabin 28, their new home, wasn't glamorous, but to Sue, it was freedom. Sue took typing classes and worked part-time at the Quincy Elk Lodge and tried to build a stable, safe life for her children. 15-year-old John, 14-year-old Sheila, 12-year-old Tina, 10-year-old Rick, and 5-year-old Greg. Neighbors described Sue as being quiet but kind, the type of person who always looked out for others. Saturday, April 11th, 1981, a spring day like any other. That morning, Sue drove with Sheila and Greg to pick up Rick from baseball tryouts. On the way, they passed John and his best friend, 17-year-old Dana Hall Wingate, hitchhiking. She stopped to give them a ride back to Keddie. Later that day, the boys went back into town, hitchhiking once again toward Quincy. They were last seen around 9:30 p.m. That evening, Sheila had plans to stay next door with the Seabolt family in cabin 27. At home, Sue was watching over her 2 youngest boys, Rick and Greg, and their friend, Justin Smart, the son of her next door neighbor, Martin and Marilyn Smart. 12-year-old Tina had been watching television at the Seabolts, but returned home around 9:30 p.m. No one knew it would be the last time anyone would see her alive. The next morning, April 12th, at around 8 a.m., Sheila Sharp returned home. When she opened the front door to cabin 28, she stepped into a nightmare. The living room was a scene of pure horror. Blood covered the walls, the furniture, even the ceiling. 3 bodies lay bound with medical tape and electric cords. Her mother, Sue Sharp, her brother, John Sharp, and John's friend, Dana Wingate, all brutally murdered. 12-year-old Tina was missing. Her bedding was soaked in blood, but she was nowhere to be found. Incredibly, the 3 youngest boys, Rick, Greg, and Justin, were found asleep and unharmed in the next room. Sheila ran screaming to the neighbors next door for help. What police found inside cabin 28 shocked even the most seasoned investigators. She had been gagged with a blue bandana and her own underwear, both secured with tape. She was nude from the waist down. She had been stabbed repeatedly in the chest. Her throat slit so deep it nicked her spine. On her head, a strange imprint matching the butt of a Daisy BB gun rifle. John's throat had also been cut. Dana had been manually strangled and beaten to death. Both boys suffered blunt force trauma to the skull, likely from a hammer. Two bloody knives and one hammer were found at the scene. A second hammer, however, was missing. Blood splatter indicated the murders all occurred in the living room and the victims' bodies had been moved afterwards. Despite the carnage, there were no signs of forced entry and almost no usable forensic evidence. The killers had somehow managed to commit an unspeakable act and vanish into the night. Investigators quickly focused on a small number of the neighbors living nearby. Among them, Martin Smart, a former cook at the Keddie Lodge, and his house guest, John Bobetti, a drifter, and a veteran with rumored ties organized crime in Chicago. Martin was Justin's stepfather, the same Justin who slept unharmed in the next room the night of the murders. When questioned, Martin claimed that one of his claw hammers had recently gone missing. That detail strangely came before it was even made public that hammers were among the murder weapons. Both Martin and Bo said that they had been out that night at a local bar. Their stories didn't quite line up. Witnesses recall seeing a green van near cabin 28 that evening. Others reported hearing muffled screams around 1:15 a.m. Yet, the case seemed to have stalled almost immediately. In the weeks following, 12-year-old Justin gave investigators conflicting stories about that night. At first, he said that he slept through everything. Later, under hypnosis, he claimed to have dreamt what happened, describing two men inside the cabin with Sue and the boys. He said that one man had long hair and a mustache, and the other short and clean cut. Bizarrely, the police enlisted an amateur sketch artist, not a professional forensic artist, to draw the suspects. Both were described as men in their late 20s, early 30s, one tall with fair hair, the other shorter with black, greasy hair. Both wore gold framed sunglasses. The sketches were widely circulated, but led nowhere. Kind of looked similar. Maybe. While the community grieved, the search for 12-year-old Tina Sharp became a desperate mission. For weeks, the FBI and local authorities combed the forest surrounding the Keddie, even using tracking dogs. But Tina had vanished without a trace. It would be 3 years later before the truth of her fate surfaced. In April 1984, 50 miles near Camp 18 by Feather Falls, a man scavenging for bottles discovered a child's skull and jawbone. Dental records confirmed the remains belonged to Tina Sharp, but who put her there and why remains unknown. Shortly after the discovery, the Butte County Sheriff's Office received a chilling anonymous call.
I wonder if they thought that the murder up in Keddie, where the 12-year-old girl was never found.
The call was never logged. The recording of it wouldn't be discovered until 2013, buried at the bottom of an evidence box. As the years went by, disturbing new pieces of information surfaced about Martin Smart. After the murders, he moved to Reno, Nevada, where he began seeing a counselor. That counselor later came forward, claiming that Martin had confessed to killing Sue and Tina Sharp. They're supposed to report that stuff right away, I thought. Maybe not in Nevada, though. He allegedly said that Tina was killed because she witnessed the whole thing. Even more hauntingly, a letter Martin wrote to his wife Marilyn was later discovered, and it read, "I've paid the price of your love, and now I've bought it with 4 people's lives." The letter was never entered into evidence. Martin and Bo both died decades ago, Bo in 1988 and Martin in 2000, without ever being charged. In 2013, the Keddie murders were officially reopened by investigator Mike Gamberg and Sheriff Greg Hagwood, both of whom had personal ties to the victims. They quickly uncovered critical evidence that had been overlooked or lost for decades, including the tape of the anonymous call and untested forensic samples. Then in 2016, a local fisherman discovered a claw hammer submerged in a nearby pond, a hammer matching the description of the one Martin Smart had reported missing. Sheriff Hagwood said the location that it was found, it would have been put there intentionally. In 2018, DNA from a piece of tape at the original crime scene matched that of a known living suspect, though authorities have yet to publicly identify who that subject is. Over time, the Keddie Resort fell into decay. Cabin 28, once a family sanctuary, became a grim pilgrimage site for true crime enthusiasts and paranormal investigators. The cabin was finally demolished in 2004. Even without the building, the mystery remains, echoing through the pines of the Sierra Nevadas. Investigator Mike believes that the case can be solved. Him and Sheriff Hagwood say that they're closer than ever, and that several people alive today still know exactly what happened that night. For the surviving Sharp family and for the small haunted town of Keddie, justice can't come soon enough. More than 40 years later, the Keddie murders remain one of the most disturbing and mysterious unsolved crimes in American history. A mother and three children brutally taken, a town forever changed, and a secret still waiting in the dark. So there you have it, the Keddie cabin murders. I always say that I hate unsolved mysteries like this because it's like you want to know. If a person's missing, you want to know what happened to them. I've heard many times, like when somebody's missing, that the parents want the child back alive, but they would just like to know either way. It sounds like Bo and Marty possibly were the killers, but what's their motive? Why do it? And hopefully Sheila will get some answers. I don't know. Thank you for watching. As always, please give me a thumbs up, give me a comment, subscribe if you like what I talked about, and I'll see you next time. Be good to yourself, be good to others. Always remember that there's people out there that need your support. Love y'all. See you next time. Bye.